Post-training notice. National First-Class Registered Exorcist. Extra Chapter. Yaoguia Mobilization, Part 3. At the same time, late in the night. In the sewers, Dane lifted a lantern, illuminating the inside of the dark, gloomy cave. The sounds of the water flowing by seemed as if they were coming from the distant past. You Chinese people have a saying, which goes, "The cycles of reincarnation never stop, and fate never rests," Dane's voice said, echoing through the passageway. I remember that the first time I saw Lorcan, it was in the sewers of Greece. That ancient civilization was filled with wisdom. Seems like coming to China was the right move for us. Which is why, after everything ends, I plan on staying in my motherland, Chen Hao replied. Dane, do you no longer plan on keeping me company, Chen? Let's assume that your lover can overcome all these difficulties, Chen Hao said. I figure that my duty will end there. Dane walked through the dark, gloomy passageway, lifting his head to look at the traces of blood left behind on the floor of the sewer. What do you plan on doing? Dane asked. Chen Hao replied, I had a chat with another Chen. Their government needs to open up lines of communication with Europe, and this suggestion is currently being proposed up through the levels. I figure that I might be able to stay behind and work in China. Dane did not speak. The sound of the flowing water echoed through the sewer. I will be very sad to lose you, Dane said. This is the path you must take to grow up, Chen Hao replied. You often said that vampires require a different kind of lifestyle, and that you must have your own wishes and desires. Now I understand, and I hope to take this chance to make a change. But I feel like you seem to be escaping. Dane stopped walking. Instead, he lifted his light, shining it into the depths of the cavern. Not true, Chen Hao replied. He was standing in front of Dane, but he did not turn his head back. They hope to seek the truth through the cooperation of both worlds. What truth? The truth of the world. Dane frowned slightly. The truth of the world, Chen Hao explained, the truth of souls, of the heavens and earth, of humans and nature, of the universe and the stars, of the mysterious layer that lies hidden under the surface of everything that lives. When did you also turn into a philosopher? Dane chuckled. Chen Hao replied morosely, I've lived for too long. Will you also fall in love in China, while you're at it? Dane jeered. Perhaps, Chen Hao replied. From the depths of the sewer came a slight sound, as if someone was breathing in there. They had come to the end, and in front of them, 6 sewer openings gathered into a central atrium. Within the space of this underground atrium, the walls and floor were covered with marks, as if a great battle had taken place there. There's a large-sized Yao beast here, Dane murmured. No, Chen Hao replied. There was. These traces are already fading, so this may have happened many years ago. Chen Hao gestured for Dane to wait here, while he himself tossed a rope out and carefully draped it over the side. You like young guys like Zhi Ziaduo, did I guess right? Dane whistled at Chen Hao. He's almost 10 years older than you, Chen Hao replied casually as he let down the rope. Dane corrected himself. You like guys who have a youthful feeling to them. Everyone likes youthful guys, Chen Hao replied. Especially those who are pure-hearted, sincere, and compassionate, all traits that I don't have. Dane replied, so. Chen Hao, the innocent heart of a child can only be viewed from afar. Everyone will have their own love. Chen Hao turned on the flashlight and looked around, before lifting his head up and saying, I feel like you guessed the wrong place. Suddenly, there was a dragon roar. The pterodactyl charged out from one side, biting down on Chen Hao. The pterodactyl turned and threw Chen Hao towards the wall, before turning to spew burning flames at Dane. Dane turned and leaped down, but this mouthful of flame instantly ignited the traces of methane left in the air. Flames engulfed the world, and there was a huge boom. Along Benjiang Avenue, there was an explosion. The cover of the sewers went flying, and the cars surrounding the area all began to frantically call the police. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. 5 in the morning, a light rain was beginning to fall from the sky. His phone rang. Xiang Chen was currently sleeping, his head hurting, one arm wrapped around Xiaoduo. With his other hand, he grabbed for the phone. "They've found him," Chen Zhen said. "This time, he's charged out into the Zhejiang River in his pterodactyl form." Xiang Chen immediately got up. Zhi Xiaoduo startled awake, and he shouted, "Wait!" Xiang Chen grabbed Zhi Xiaoduo and leaped off the balcony. Zhi Xiaoduo was still in his pajamas as the azure dragon flew through the soundly sleeping city towards the horizon. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. The pterodactyl shot out of the Zhejiang River, one claw wrapped around Chen Hao as he flew along the river. Dane staggered as he ran towards the riverside, letting out a loud shout of pain. Dane's entire body had been charred to ash, and his skin kept peeling off. Blood seeped forth from underneath those cracks, and he left a long, bloody trail behind him. As Dane dragged his charred body along in pursuit, his vampiric power was slowly healing his body. The pterodactyl flew into the air, but the exorcists had long since prepared for this. They moved out en masse, and from the tops of 4 skyscrapers, thunder needles glowed with a powerful light that shot straight into the sky. Just as the dragon broke through the clouds, a black cloud appeared above its head, crackling with lighting. It wildly discharged that lighting towards the ground as it went. The pterodactyl spasmed from the amount of electricity it had been hit with, and it could not stop howling. It struggled to land, flapping its wings as it flew towards the highest structure that was calling the lighting down on it, slamming fiercely into it. With several frantic claw swipes, it steadied itself on the Guangzhou Tower. "All divisions, prepare to exorcise the demon," Chen Zhen shouted. But before Dane could finish, an azure dragon shot past him. Zhi Xiaoduo flew through the air and grabbed one of Dane's hands, dragging him onto the azure dragon's back as they flew towards Guangzhou Tower. The sky had just started to brighten when the fog began to gather around the middle of Guangzhou Tower. The pterodactyl perched on top of the tower looked down, only to see that it was surrounded by a sea of clouds. Chen Hao struggled mightily, before finally managing to pull out his sword and stab it into the pterodactyl's claw. The pterodactyl flapped its wings ferociously, and Chen Hao spat out a mouthful of fresh blood as he was sent plummeting towards the ground almost 100 meters out. But then, golden light began to glow from under the sea of clouds. Qi Wei, Chen Zhen, the Grey Wolf, Xian Hezi, and Xiang Cheng rose into the air in unison. "Exorcism, start." The 5 of them encircled the tower, and with a twitch, the azure dragon sent Zhi Xiaoduo flying towards the Qiao. With that, Chen Zhen called upon the heart lamp. Thunder roared through the sky. The pterodactyl studied the group, before spewing out dragon flames. Chen Zhen flattened his left hand and pushed his right forwards, the heart lamp shining with light. The sea of light collided with the dragon flames. Qi Wei called upon an ice dragon, which rode the wind and the fog as it spewed forth billows of chilling, icy breath. Xian Hezi tossed his dao up and pressed his hands together as he hovered in midair. Vines came curling out of the river, swiftly coiling towards Guangzhou Tower, and firmly held the pterodactyl in place. The pterodactyl fought fiercely, but then, Xiang Cheng appeared on top of the grey wolf's head and flew towards it. With one bite, the grey wolf grabbed the black dragon around the neck, and devil qi instantly spewed forth uncontrollably. But just as it was about to explode, Xiang Cheng arrived with the sword of wisdom in hand. Underneath the pterodactyl's reverse scale, where the dragon's heart lay, appeared a man, his entire body rotting, emanating black qi. "I. Xiang Cheng." The man let out an angry bellow, and amidst that devil qi that filled the air, he pulled out an archaic, Western longsword, suddenly parrying Xiang Cheng's sword of wisdom. The two swords collided with a piercing, ear-splitting sound, sending out waves of sound that spread outwards. Amidst the cacophony, everyone was sent flying backwards. What's that? Zhi Xiaoduo was shocked. There was actually a weapon in this world that could match the treasured sword of Akalanatha. The sword of wisdom flew out of Xiang Cheng's hand, and the pterodactyl struggled mightily. The Guangzhou tower let out a huge boom, but just as it was about to collapse under the onslaught of this huge power, the Jiao dragon came flying, throwing Dane towards the huge dragon. Dane went flying right towards the dragon's throat, leaping headfirst towards the dragon's heart, where he tightly hugged the corrupted Lord Han. He won't be able to do it. Chen Hao, covered in blood, spoke. That is, the sword in the stone. Dane has no way to wake him up. The exorcists hovered in the air, observing the situation atop the Guangzhou tower. The dragon calmed temporarily while Dane hugged Lord Han tightly, the bloody blade of the sword in the stone protruding out of his back. Lord Han came back to himself for a brief period of time, and he watched this all play out numbly. The sword in his hand had stabbed Dane through the chest. Dane lifted his head using a hand covered in blood to cup Lord Ha's cheek. He then moved in close, gently pressing a kiss to his lips. Zhi Xiaoduo was so nervous he couldn't stop trembling. In his hand, he held Si Gui's feather, not knowing what was the best thing to do next. But in the next moment, the black chi exploded outwards, polluting the entire sea of clouds. Lord Han's soul turned into a devil, struggling painfully in the air. Xiang Cheng! Chen Zhen shouted. Xiang Cheng reached a hand out, and the sword of wisdom that was falling to the ground glowed with a golden light, streaking through the air as it flew back. Xiang Cheng held the sword of wisdom in his right hand, his left forming the sword seals. The tip of the sword glimmered with a bright light, and he swung it through the air in an arc. Behind him appeared the image of Akala. Break, several people shouted in unison. In that moment, everyone cast their spells, and light shot out in every direction, protecting Xiang Cheng as he flew towards the dragon's heart. Lord Han had one arm wrapped around Dane. Dane still held on tightly to the sword in the stone, and he looked up towards the image of Akala flying towards him through the air. In that moment, the bright light around Xiang Cheng spread outwards, and like a beam of divine light, it drove back the devil chi everywhere it went. The multicolored lights of the spells looked just like stained glass shining in a church. Lord Han narrowed his eyes, as if he wanted to say something else, but in this brief moment of consciousness, he let go of all thoughts of fighting back. Instead, he hugged Dane with both arms, turning so that he exposed his back to Xiang Cheng. With a quiet sound, the sword of wisdom stabbed Lord Han through the heart. The momentum carried it through, stabbing Dane through the heart as well. The vampiric blood in him, under the powerful golden light, turned into green vapor that dispersed on the wind. The moment that Xiang Cheng stabbed the sword into Lord Han's body, the dragon spread its blackened, rotted wings, roaring wildly at the sky. Finally, because of the power of the sword of wisdom, its evil soul was completely exorcised. I could have never imagined, Dane murmured, that in the end, it was still. Lord Han looked down, his eyes filled with warmth as he gazed at Dane. I'm sorry, he said quietly. The light of the sword of wisdom suddenly exploded outwards, filling the world with a bright white flash. Zhi Xiaoduo panted as he looked down. In his hands, Si Gui's feather began to burn with blazing flames. The flames then shot outwards in all directions, transforming into the phoenix's body. The immortal Jiao immediately turned and retreated. Si Gui? Zhi Xiaoduo asked anxiously. I will do my best, answered Si Gui's low, calm voice. Si Gui brought Zhi Xiaoduo along as it spread its wings, flying towards Guangzhou Tower. Wherever it flew, it left behind a trail of blazing flames, as if 10 blazing suns had appeared above the sea of clouds. No one could look directly at that bright light. Xiang Cheng sheathed the sword of wisdom and transformed into the azure dragon, spewing out azure dragon flames, which prevented the phoenix from setting large patches of the cloud sea ablaze while it cast its magic. Zhi Ziaduo was bathed in that beam of strong light, but he did not feel the heat at all. Si Gui said, "Assist me, Zhi Ziaduo. Use the power of your consciousness to capture their souls." Zhi Ziaduo's consciousness seemed to become one with Si Gui's. That was a very marvelous feeling, as if all of the blazing flames that spread outwards had become him and Si Gui's tendrils of consciousness. Dane and Lorkhan's souls scattered into glowing points of light that flew towards the sky. The flames danced as they shot towards the vast universe above, but Zhi Ziaduo spread his hands before cupping them again, instantly pulling their souls back. The phoenix flew towards Lorkhan and Dane's bodies. Zhi Ziaduo held those souls in his hands, and he turned his palms outward slightly, pushing the souls back into their bodies. The phoenix's cry sounded, and Si Gui warmly lit their bodies on fire. The flames crackled and blazed, ashes scattering into the first gentle wind of the early morning. The living are merely passing travelers, while the dead return to their eternal homes. The heavens and earth are an inn, and for all our grief, we return inevitably to dust. Amidst those blazing flames appeared the bodies of the two men. The flames turned into a ring of light, which then dispersed. With a phoenix cry, Si Gui flew high into the sky once more. "Xiang Chen, I'm taking your lover away," Si Gui said warmly. "What?" Everyone, including Zhi Ziaduo, shouted at once. "Zhi Ziaduo, let me down. Where are you taking me?" Xiang Chen turned back into a human, looking up at Zhi Ziaduo and Si Gui. "Si Gui, long time no see," Xiang Chen said. "Please return Ziaduo to me." Si Gui replied quietly, "Xiang Chen, I am not very pleased with your past performance. Though I made a vow to your Xiang family to protect you, you have brought me too much trouble." Xiang Chen sucked in a deep breath. "I am very sorry for the things I have done before, but that has nothing to do with Ziaduo. The day that the sacred land is complete," Si Gui said, "I will bring him back. See you later." Xiang Chen. Zhi Ziaduo. Zhi Ziaduo, wait. Xiang Chen, don't go. But Si Gui ignored him, taking Zhi Ziaduo with him as he turned and flew away. Xiang Chen turned into the azure dragon, wanting to chase after them, but Si Gui had already vanished suddenly. Everyone looked at each other. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. The peak of the Kunlun Mountains. The phoenix landed on the snow-covered peak, and the 100 birds followed the phoenix. Si Gui turned back into a human, looking at the morning sun in the east. Zhi Ziaduo. Si Gui studied him from head to toe. Zhi Ziaduo said, "Don't cause a ruckus. Take me back quickly." Si Gui said, "What are you in such a rush to go back for? You're already my hostage." Zhi Ziaduo, you. Si Gui continued. "Do you think that just because I am a phoenix, I would never do bad things?" Zhi Ziaduo. The peak of the Kunlun Mountains was covered in snow, and Zhi Ziaduo was wearing nothing but pajamas, but when he stood by Si Gui's side, he didn't feel cold at all. "Your jokes are in such bad taste," Zhi Ziaduo said. "Don't get too worked up," Si Gui said. "The elevation here is very high, be careful that you don't contract high-altitude sickness from the lack of oxygen." Zhi Ziaduo was torn between laughing and crying. He studied his surroundings, only to see that the birds were gathering around them in greater and greater numbers. Si Gui added, "Causing a bit of mischief once in a while is the only way for me to relieve the boredom of my several thousands years worth of life, isn't that right?" Zhi Ziaduo replied seriously, "What exactly are you trying to do, Si Gui?" "Nothing much," Si Gui replied. "He made me worried several times, so I'm going to make him worried for once in return. This is revenge." Zhi Ziaduo laughed loudly at that. Si Gui then looked down again, saying, "The remains of the sacred land are here. Want to go inside and take a look?" Zhi Ziaduo. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. Guangzhou. After fighting that huge battle, everyone looked askance at each other. The evil dragon had been defeated, and the boss had been dealt with, but the princess, no, the empress, had gone missing. Xiang Cheng. How exactly did you offend that phoenix? Kita asked, confused. Weren't you guys on the same side? I don't know either. Xiang Cheng was about to explode from anger, his expression one of if you ask me, who am I supposed to go ask? Si Gui probably won't hurt Xiaoduo, Chen Zhen said. Don't be anxious. I'll send this out across the country right away, informing all of the exorcists to pay close attention. Fengli and Huang Shan both arrived, and before even receiving orders from Xiang Cheng, they immediately informed all of the Yaoguia to find out where Zhi Xiaoduo had gone. They had basically sent out all their people. Xiang Cheng was about to fly away again when Qi Wei said, calm down a bit, don't act rashly. Xiang Cheng was frowning deeply as he sat by the river. After he spent some time pondering, the Eagle Lord arrived. Your Majesty. The Eagle Lord addressed Xiang Cheng. Xiang Cheng rose. Send out all of the avian tribes and have them search for him. The Eagle King hesitated for a moment, exchanging a glance with Fengli. Xiang Cheng asked, what? Fengli replied, Your Majesty, there's a problem that I need to remind you of. Xiang Cheng gestured for him to speak. Fengli thought for a moment, before saying, with the current power of our sacred land, aside from sending out all 4 of the Yao Lords or having you seek it out in person, no other ordinary Yaoguai can match the phoenix. Xiang Cheng. Impossible, Xiang Cheng said. When did Si Gui become so powerful? Fengli replied, because it has undergone 99 tribulations. After this last cycle of nirvana, it will become the phoenix of true flames. Aside from a dragon, not much else in this world can harm it. It was right then that a blue bird flew from the horizon towards them, landing in front of Xiang Cheng. Yao King, the blue bird said quietly, the order maintainer is requesting that you return to the sacred land before the sun sets today and gather all of the Yaoguai, to prepare for the reopening of the sacred land. Xiang Cheng strode swiftly forwards, but the blue bird turned and flew away. Damn, Xiang Cheng said, torn between laughing and crying. Si Gui's being too audacious right now. Asterisk. Within the Kunlun Mountains, in the ruins of the sacred land. This was the second sacred land, Si Gui said. I was once captured and brought here, and later, it was Xiang Xian who rescued me. Si Gui glowed with red light, which illuminated the dilapidated sacred land covered in cobwebs. It was only then that Zhi Xiaoduo learned that such a thing had happened back then. How did you get captured? Zhi Xiaoduo asked. The tribulations of a phoenix are not like that of a dragon. They are divine tribulations, Si Gui said. From the moment I was born, I was a phoenix, and I would experience a tribulation every 99 years. Every tribulation I passed, my power would be reduced by 1%. Zhi Xiaoduo. Jiao who undergo heavenly tribulations to become a dragon, Si Gui explained, gain their power through that moment of explosiveness and self-introspection, from their insight on life and death. As for Phoenix's tribulations, we undergo 99 deaths and rebirths in order to gain our strongest power. Before this, through every life of ours, our power will grow weaker and weaker. So when you were keeping Xiang Cheng company? Yes. Si Gui nodded. He and Zhi Xiaoduo passed through the dark tunnel, while he said, the day I brought you two along as I sped out of Mara's dreamscape was the day my power was the weakest. When I was born, my power was very strong, and it remained that way until the 98th tribulation, this 100-year cycle where I was watching over Xiang Cheng. It was then that my spiritual power weakened, and in the end, I couldn't even defeat a Chai Wen. Zhi Xiaoduo replied, I can't blame you for that. The Chai Wen was pretty powerful to begin with, and plus, it got corrupted. What did you bring me here for? To look for an item so that I can fulfill a little desire of mine from back then, Sigui replied. He then noticed that Ji Xiaoduo seemed to be a little absent-minded and added, I will bring you back, don't worry. Ji Xiaoduo chuckled. I'm not worried. If you wanted to hurt me, you would have long since attacked. There would be no need to wait until now. I was just wondering how Dane and Lorcan are doing now. Who cares if they live or die? Sigui replied easily. If you hadn't intervened for them, they would be nothing more than ants to me. So domineering, Ji Xiaoduo thought. I'm probably an ant as well, and at best, I'm an ant that's waving my antennas around a little more diligently. You are no ant, Sigui said, seeing the inner monologue Ji Xiaoduo was having in his heart from the expression on his face. Your husband is still a threat to me in some ways. In front of them was an underground lake that had frozen over. The ice was very thin, so Sigui took Ji Xiaoduo along as he flew to the other side of the lake, melting the ice layer in the karst cavern. We've arrived, Sigui said. Come where I am. What are you looking for? Ji Xiaoduo asked. Is there anything that can help you? What kind of a desire is it? It's a long story, Sigui said, sighing. That person has already died. Ji Xiaoduo, who? Xiangxian, Sigui replied from out of the darkness. The glow around Sigui's body had receded entirely, leaving behind just the faint glow of the hems of his robe. His voice was dreamlike and distant, as if he was telling a story that didn't involve him, a story that didn't belong to this world. Back then, while I was undergoing nirvana, I was captured and brought to the sacred land, Sigui said. They wanted to use my power of rebirth to revive the boss snake and the goddess, who was Xiang Cheng's mother. Ji Xiaoduo. I had no other choice but to ask for help from an avian beast, asking it to send word to the outside world, Sigui relayed. It just so happened that then, Xiangxian was investigating what had happened to the Yaoguia after they migrated, and he found his way into the sacred land. Ji Xiaoduo remarked, so that was how you got to know the Xiang family's people. Sigui said, nodding. Mortals' lives are very short. Perhaps the nine-tailed heavenly fox understands this principle even better than I do. Everyone understands the principle, but doing it in practice is not so easy a matter. Yuan Xiangxian. He died of his wounds. Sigui thought for a moment, before suddenly asking, where did you all find the golden arrows? Right in Xiang Cheng's body, Ji Xiaoduo replied. Sigui startled, before nodding. So that was how it went. Xiang Jian who was searched for a long time as well. I could never have imagined that's how things played out. Ji Xiaoduo, did you not participate in that battle with the sacred land? Sigui replied, I did not. I only met Xiangxian later, but before he died, he asked me to stand guard over the sacred land as well, and to not let the Yao tribes have a resurgence. So technically, according to my duty, I have the right to destroy the sacred land. Ji Xiaoduo. Sigui continued, but of course, on behalf of you and Xiang Cheng, and because the sacred land is no longer the sacred land of the past, I can be reasonable. But if you want to request that the Phoenix, the order maintainer of the Yao tribes, take up residence in the sacred land, I will not be able to follow those orders any longer. No wonder. Ji Xiaoduo understood. Sigui opened one of the doors to the sacred hall, leading Ji Xiaoduo into a stone room. It should be right here, Sigui murmured to himself. What is it? Ji Xiaoduo asked. I'll help you search. A set of clothes that the goddess wore back in the day, but the color and the cut are both neutral, so men can wear it as well, Sigui said. Your figure is about the same as mine, so you should look very good after you put it on. Ji Xiaoduo seemed to understand something. Ji Xiaoduo, you and Xiangxian. Sigui did not reply. He pondered for a moment, before saying, hurry up and search. Xiang Cheng is probably very worried by now. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. The Mount Wu sacred land, in front of the 1000 Yao hall. All of the Yaos had gathered, and Yao heads filled the space below the staircase. They were all completely silent, watching Xiang Cheng standing up on the platform. The sun set to the west, and a crimson streak of light shone into the sacred land. Xiang Cheng was not wearing his black robe, but rather an energetic outfit that fit his physique well. His arms were clad in the literati and military sleeves. His outfit was very simple, and the devil-subduing staff was belted to his waist. In front of him was still the huge statue covered with a cloth drape. The sunlight shone down from the western side of the ceiling, dyeing the cloth crimson. The four great Yao kings stood in the four corners, all waiting for that moment when the sun would set. Xiang Cheng lifted his hand, looking down at the ring on his ring finger. Zhi Xiaoduo was still very far away towards the west. What is your dream? World peace. You are a great hero who will save the world. Giu, Akalanatha. True light does not exist when there is never darkness, but rather when it is never snuffed out by the darkness. All I hope for is that you can continuously improve yourself. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. The Kunlun Mountains, the sacred land. On the dark altar devoid of any people, Zhi Xiaoduo changed his clothes and spread his arms. A long, flowing robe draped to his feet, and he turned, feeling as if within this dark sacred land, the audience seats were filled with the Yaoguia of yesteryear. Thousands of years' worth of splendor seemed to have never vanished in the first place. Do I look good? Zhi Xiaoduo asked, wearing the red robe. Very nice, Si Gui replied. Zhi Xiaoduo asked, has the sun set? We might be late. That's all right, Si Gui replied. There's a spell that allows a passageway to be temporarily opened between the two sacred lands. It's just that the Exorcists and the Yaoguia both sealed up the passageway many years ago. We can use this passageway to get back in a bit. Zhi Xiaoduo stood in front of the altar, looking up at the statues of the boss snake and the goddess of Mount Wu. At that moment, he felt as if Xiang Cheng was right on the other side, waiting for him. Valipalicia. I also have a Chinese name, called Cheng. Open the door, and I'll tell you. Let's date. We can play at being friends, how's that? I love you. It was only after we separated that I realized I can never leave you again. I hid in a narrow crack in the cliffside by the Yellow River, and in that moment where I found it hardest to hold out, you gave me the strength to do so. Zhi Xiaoduo looked up at the boss snake. The boss snake's eyes had been filled in with jade, and they glimmered with light, reflecting Zhi Xiaoduo's visage. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. The Mount Wu sacred land. The last light of day vanished entirely, and the Yaoguia all whispered amongst themselves. Will the work only be considered once it is unveiled? Kita asked from where he was standing off to one side, observing. Xiang Cheng hesitated for a long while, before he finally strode forth and grabbed the corner of the drape with one hand. The sacred land was absolutely silent. Xiaoduo, I love you. Xiang Cheng, I love you. Asterisk asterisk asterisk. Go, Si Gui said. It is about time. Blazing flames burst out over Si Gui's body, engulfing the entirety of the sacred land. Xiang Cheng was holding one of the corners of the drape, and he let out a sigh before reaching out and tugging. The 1000 Yao hall blazed with bright flames as the cry of the phoenix echoed through the world. In the very moment that the drape drifted away, the phoenix spread its wings, taking Zhi Xiaoduo with it as it opened a passageway through space, flying out of the center of the sacred hall. The Yaoguia all let out exclamations of surprise. Xiang Cheng immediately turned to face the sacred land, and Zhi Xiaoduo, a small smile on his face, knelt with one knee on the phoenix's back as Si Gui flew along, appearing majestically in front of the 10,000 gathered Yao. As soon as the phoenix's flames receded, the surrounding motes of light gently scattered throughout the world. The stars in the sky high above the sacred land glimmered, streaking down in all directions as witnessed through the crystalline skylight. All of the observers cheered wildly at that, and their voices resounded through the sacred land. Everyone began to laugh, while Xiang Cheng tilted his head up, looking towards Si Gui circling in the sky above. The young man's hand was splayed open, and in his palm was a bright, glowing lamp. The cheers thundered through the space, while Si Gui scattered its motes of light through the entirety of the sacred land. When the last bit of the cloth fluttered to the ground, Si Gui turned and flew towards the center of the sacred hall, and with a shake of its wings, it slowly glided through the air. Zhi Xiaoduo still knelt with one knee, reaching a hand down, while Xiang Cheng stood in front of him, his face tilted up. Each of them had a moonlight bracelet on their arms. The moonlight bracelets twined around each other, becoming the brilliant light of the stars, which then returned to the lamp in that young man's hands. That lamp turned into an eternal lamp, which glowed as brightly as if it had been lit with flames. Under the light of this eternal lamp that shone through the dark night, the river of stars flowed like a waterfall, spinning on eternally. Congratulations to the sacred land on successfully undergoing nirvana. Si Gui set Zhi Xiaoduo down and spread out its wings. With another phoenix's cry, it rose into the air, and under the eyes of its thousands of watchers, it left the sacred land behind. Zhi Xiaoduo strode forward swiftly, as he and Xiang Cheng leapt towards each other at the same time, hugging each other tightly. Extra, Yaoguia mobilization, complete.